as we were saying, we're back, y'all. We're back after a nice little hiatus. I'm Darryl Lamont Jenkins. Brian Powers and Christian Perez are here with me, and we have brought back the Idavox report, but we're not live this time. Now we're trying to something a little new here. We're going to do things pre-recorded so that we can have a more refined show. And I just want to say long time no see to my dear pals. What's going on, Bri, Chris?
Doing okay.
Doing good, man. I'm very glad to be back, man. It's nice and just I think for our audience, we're recording this Father's Day, Sunday. It was June 19th.
Juneteenth,
also known as Juneteenth.
Also known as Juneteenth. So it's a really cool day of barbecues, man. Get out there and grill whatever you're gonna grill because you got a lot of reasons to do it today. It's a really cool day, man. I wish we had some better weather up here, but I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, I mean, I heard you got rain up there in Old Maine. I mean, we're pretty breezy here, but we should be fine tomorrow. I'm actually going to be at the beach, at the shore later on today and tomorrow. So I'll be with an old friend whose birthday it is this week. So
nice. What shore town you going to go visit?
I'm rocking Asbury Park.
Asbury Park.
One.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool. I was in there. I was there last week. I like Asbury. It's a lot of fun. I was there for. I was actually there for the Pride parade last week, 2 weeks ago. Or no, that was last. But it was pretty crowded. Parking was crazy, but it was a nice parade.
Yeah, I bet it was. I mean, it's nice. I mean, I'm finally glad that the weather broke.
Definitely.
To underscore a fact, I mean, we had 90 degrees, on Friday?
Oh, yeah.
So, and it's so funny because we're going to get to Idaho in a minute, but I was up there and I intentionally brought a hoodie because when I was in Portland back in September, I didn't bring anything like a jacket or anything, and I knew that it was a little cooler than it is here in Jersey. So I left 90-degree weather to something that was like 50 or 60 still, and raining. So I was just like, oh yeah, I'm glad I brought this thing. But it's like we're waiting for the rest of the country to catch up. But I'm happy with the weather as it is right now. So happy summer, y'all, because that's what's tomorrow. Tomorrow's summer.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Tomorrow's
summer solstice.
Summer
solstice, right? Did that happen?
Yeah.
Already?
What is that? The longest day or the shortest day? I think it's the longest.
That's the longest. No, yeah, that's the longest day. The winter solstice is the shortest.
So it's gonna start getting short again.
Righty. Not looking forward to it. I'm really enjoying the 18 hours of sunlight I get here in the Northeast, man. Like I get up for work relatively early, about 4 o'clock in the morning. Sun's up, 4 a.m. and it's up until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. I wake up and go to sleep in the daytime. It's something to get used to, having traveled a couple of kilometers north of where I'm used to the sun setting at a little more reasonable hour.
Well, I'm just glad that things have, I don't know, I don't want to say toned down, but I'm definitely toned down in regards to winter. I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad the weather broke. I'm glad that we're active again, but with activity comes the old political drama, and that's why we exist again. So, and bear with me, because one of the things that I didn't do before we set up is plug in my laptop, so I don't want to get turned off before I'm done here. So
we've all been there. I've panicked. I would say a good 20% of the podcasts we've recorded include a period of me panicking because I'm running out of power and didn't plug in my laptop.
Panic is a big part of the show.
And that's all. And I will say, before there's a lot of things that we can discuss that we're going to be able to talk about. But there has been a lot of activity on my part since I last saw you. I went to there's a new documentary. A lot of people know about alt-right Age of Rage and various other things I might have done, but there is an actual documentary about me directly, and it's called We Don't Walk in Fear, and it was produced by a social justice class out of Villanova University, and they spent the past, I guess, 6 months working with me, going down to the American Renaissance Conference in November, and on April 30th, we sat in the premiere. My mother's in it. She was the one who came up with the title because she said it was a quote coming from her in the documentary. My mother and sister are in it. Senator Chris Coons of Delaware is in it, and I'm in it. And this office is in it, and with more flags. And I'm glad they shot it.
How did they find you?
Well, the thing is, John O'Leary is the professor that has put together this class, and he's been wanting to work with me for years. But I ended up signing contracts with a whole bunch of other things first and foremost. So unfortunately, I was not available, and then finally things simmered down to the point where he said, "Okay, I want to try this again." I said, "Yes, let's do this." And they came to this office, which I'm really glad they didn't do now because it's all cluttered up and it really needs some work right now. But they shot some things here. They went and shot some friends of mine. They're still alive. And it came out pretty good. It's only a half hour long, 35 minutes long, but that's a real, they stuffed a lot in that 35 minutes.
Nice.
They got some old stuff for me from when I was a kid, like old artwork. I mean, it's just like it's really into the nitty gritty. Of course, my family, who really doesn't get involved with my political world, they have their take on what it is I do and how it is I do it. And then since I'm bringing the Father's Day, we talk a lot more about my father, which is good. I really needed that to happen. And we did the premiere over at Villanova University. And Villanova, as I said before, Villanova is where the students come from, where the class is held. And we played to a packed house. The premiere was a packed house. And
Nice.
it was a beautiful thing. And I really want to send my love and appreciation to everybody that worked on this. And hopefully we'll work together in the future and possibly be on this podcast at some point. So
how does one get a hold of this movie and check it out, man?
Well, I do know the only thing right now is that you can see the trailer. We have the trailer, and I can show that. But it will be right now it's going to go through a few festivals, and from there, who knows? We haven't released it just yet. But so I'll keep everybody posted as to when we are going to show it to the masses, so to speak. And so what else I did? Oh yes, I went to go see Sepultura, Sacred Reich, Crowbar, and I guess they called The Art of War. It was a small band, I think, out of LA. I saw them over at Webster Hall, and good show. Although Sepultura doesn't have Igor and yeah, damn. Not Max.
Yeah.
Max. Although I'm mad because they played in Connecticut and I couldn't go. They played in Connecticut on June 1st and I couldn't go. Max and
you went to the Cavalera show, so I guess you never made it, huh?
I never made it. I was just too damn busy. Damn busy and too damn. As a fact, we may as well slip into Idaho. I had to do a GoFundMe for to get out to Idaho. I was going to do Idaho and Florida because I thought Florida was going to be hot. Florida's been a little quiet, actually.
Idaho,
but I had
it's like the biggest story in the country for a day. It was mentioned by President Biden. Actually, mentioned it in his speech, and I know that you were telling me about this event for the last few weeks. I mean, you knew It's something we didn't have any idea what was going to unfold there, but I wanted to ask you, like, we know this Patriot Front group of dumb fucks who keep screwing up everything. They stuff guys into the back of U-Hauls. It seems to be their modus operandi.
While
They,
trying to
they
make themselves look good when they're busted.
oh man, they screw up everything they touch. It's like Laurel and Hardy tried to put together a Nazi crew, man. It's
I mean, does anybody look tough in khakis? Like, we need to be honest, right? They showed up with their little caps and their khakis and their backpacks, and like they literally wanted to just assault gay people. And it's they only got charged with misdemeanors. Like, that's all it was.
yeah, right
You know,
now.
it
We'll
was
see.
Yeah,
you know,
that's really all
conspiracy
they
to
got.
riot. They went there to hurt people. They didn't go there to riot. They went there to assault people. But
Well,
let me break it down as to what is going on. First of all, for those who don't know what we're talking about, a couple of weeks ago, we found out that there was a somebody from the so-called Groyper movement, the American Firsters movement, named Vincent James Fox. He and turns out a few other white supremacists moved out to Idaho, in particular places like Coeur d'Alene, which is the town that everything went down in. Coeur d'Alene was the original stomping grounds of Aryan nations. All right. But Aryan nations is no longer there. They pretty much got sued out of existence. And still, even though you got rid of the organization, you still have the members, you still have the people there that feel that way. So people like Vincent James Fox, the white supremacist, feels comfortable in that area. And for the past couple of months, they've really been focusing on trying to make the entire state pretty much a white bastion, a white power bastion. I mean, it's because it's pretty much the easiest state in the world to do that in, especially when you consider what kind of lieutenant governor they have up there, who is working with the freaking Groypers. All right. And well, there has been a couple of threats against the Pride events that were going to be happening in June. This one came with guns. And reason why I brought up Vincent James Fox is because he moved up there, started agitating against the Pride event that was going to happen in Coeur d'Alene. Ironically, it was being held in the same park, in the same band shell that Aryan Nations used for their rallies. And when Vincent James Fox did that, a group called the Panhandle Patriots came on board and started announcing that they're going to protest this event, pretty much crash the event with something that they called gun delaying. How witty. Now, I gotta tell you the history of the gun delaying thing. Panhandle Patriots a couple of years ago, just 2 years ago actually, started doing annual rallies since 2020. After that year, they responded to an internet lie, an internet hoax, that Antifa was going to come to Coeur d'Alene to just start wreaking havoc. So they pretty much all mustered up in Coeur d'Alene to try to push Antifa back, but Antifa had no intentions of going to Coeur d'Alene. Antifa didn't put that out, but they came out anyway.
In other words, they spook themselves, yes, or somebody else spooked them.
Yes, that's exactly it. So they celebrate spooking themselves every year. They had another thing last year where they all came out and said, "Yippee-ki-yay, we beat the Antifa." And this year, normally this thing is held around the earlier part of June, like June 6th or something like that. And they heard about this event and they moved it up to June 11th. And that was when we saw what we saw. I mean, we saw the everybody starting to agitate because they did a video in which they said that they was going to come out there and confront the Coeur d'Alene rally, which was called Pride in the Park. And so everybody that was trying to protect the Pride event pretty much came out. And they came out from Washington, they came out from Montana, they came out from Idaho. Yes, there are leftists in Idaho, and it's pretty funny watching a pride event rout neo-Nazis in Coeur d'Alene. And there was a few people out there with their guns and swinging them and all that. I would have brought mine, except I didn't want to bring it on the plane. I thought it was a little bit too much of a hassle. And it would have been, because in the end, it was a nice, peaceful event. Everybody had a good time. We pitched the fit with a few neo-Nazis that wanted to walk around and try to argue with folks, try to declare fascism as a great thing and all of that. And then Patriot Front showed up. And this was the funny thing. This guy named Matt Shea, who was a former House representative in the state of Washington, who got kicked out, pretty much got expelled not too long ago, because he was calling for violence and actually participated in a few big-time militia outings. He was trying to lead a march into the park. Now, if I remember correctly, they got stopped before they were not allowed in. They were not going to be allowed to go into the park and cause some grief. You know, that was at the same time. I mean, I was sitting in a pavilion with a bunch of picnic tables and stuff like that. I was sitting there when we got a message on our phone saying Patriot Front just got detained. Now, we saw a few people dressed like Patriot Front, unmasked, and we assumed that they were there, but they didn't make any announcement that they were going to show. When we saw the message that Patriot Front got detained, I mean, when I saw it, I hightailed it over to where they were arrested, and it wasn't too far away from the park. It was on the other side of the park. Now, when we talk about violence when it comes to Patriot Front likes to put on a show. They like to drive up in their little renter trucks, jump out of the back, march, throw a smoke grenade so they can come out of the smoke, and then jump back into their van and then drive off again. But so they really just all smoke and mirrors, no pun intended. And
I want to add that they were from 11 states, and I don't think any of them were actually from Idaho. They were from like Texas, Colorado. They were from Idaho, and the other 29 of them were from out. See, these are outside agitators who came there to cause havoc. And yeah, I don't think these conspiracy charges are enough. I think these people were there to do serious harm.
Daryl makes a point that generally speaking, their past practice has been, stuff for social media. They're trying to make themselves cool.
Yeah.
By doing dumb shit, but it's gonna keep escalating.
It will escalate.
I'm saying what was going to happen at this event, we don't know. It didn't happen, thank God. I think, but at some point it's going to turn towards violence. This doesn't get better. You don't keep doing this dumb shit and it stays, TikTok videos. People have and will continue to really get hurt, and it's going to start to snowball. If they continue.
Well, I have a point to make about that, but I think one of the things we should do is probably should take a look at the scenes of that day to give people an idea of what it is we saw. And by the way, y'all, Idaho is nice. Idaho is a beautiful spot, but it could be a lot more beautiful if we were to get rid of this freaking element. I was supposed to go to Missoula. They invited me to go to Missoula, Montana, to deal with a bunch of freaking Nazis out there. The NSM was supposed to be marching yesterday. Only 5 of them showed up. So Missoula's trying to do something to keep them down. So, but I want to show everybody this clip from Idaho and give you an idea of what it is we experience. I'm in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and behind me is the Pride Fest happening, Pride in the Park. And on the other end, right back there, you see a bunch of folks in camouflage and militia types singing Christian hymns and hating on everybody that's here. And sings my soul, my Savior God, to
the whole indoctrinated process.
This is indoctrination. This is indoctrination.
Oh, this is true.
Yes, it is.
This is true.
Preaching the gospel.
This is indoctrination.
How y'all doing today?
Good.
Thank you. Can I have
You
one?
filming? Yeah,
Huh?
you can have one. Yeah.
All right. Now turn.
Nothing but hatred for people that are not like you. Fascism is a cure to what? To you. Say it out loud. Dude, say it loud.
What do you want to do, dude? Say what you want to do,
Say
honestly.
with your full chest, you fucking pussy. Say it. Say it.
I mean, just because you
control
don't.
the fucking media. You guys control the media.
We control. Who controls the media? Don't say it.
Don't say it.
Don't say it. Don't say it. I'm gonna have a field day with that one. Go, okay. Say it. Say it.
Fucking Nazi, and you almost flipped it up.
Say it.
No. Well, say what? The Jews control the media?
Yeah.
Is that true?
That's what you're
Do you
saying,
think
man.
that's the case?
I think that's the case. Do you think that's the case? Because that can be proven one way or another. All you have to do is look at the board members of Jews.
You know what my father used to say? You know what my father used to say? No reason why we can't. Which means that we are in just as much as the position as anybody you claim to name is running the media. We're all in the same damn position. We'll see ya. So, I'm having a good time today. You know, it's funny. It was really dark and gloomy around here for the Pride Fest. It was threatening rain. And then Patriot Front gets arrested for trying to jump out of that van and do a march. And the skies are bright again. I'm here. Oh, okay. Oh, well, I got a video. So they're good to go. But that's what's going on right now. Oh, they're closing up. They're all ready to go. Bye-bye, Patriot F.
I was laughing. It was some serious stuff in there, but I was laughing at the beat because the juxtaposition of the pictures of Pride Day and people dancing and having fun and laughing to some wonderful music, and then cut to these people singing this droning, horrible music, clearly not having a good time, filled with hate. I mean, it's just a difference between people who are happy with their lives and people who are fucking miserable, man. It really was.
Yeah, and they had kids there, right? They had kids at like a hate event, and they want to talk about other people being groomers. You're literally grooming kids to be bigots, to be violent, to be monsters. It's like every gimmick they have is misdirection. I mean, this is the new thing now. All gay people are groomers. All trans people are groomers. It's when we see the pedophilia, the assault, the abuse coming out of the right wing, coming out of conservative institutions, the Catholic Church, the Southern Baptist Conference, right? All these Southern and conservative politicians. I mean, it's always misdirection with these people. And you know, this is their new thing: is all gay people, all trans people are groomers. This is from what I've heard. This is going to be their new grift. They're going after the drag queens and all that. That's their new thing. They're calling them all groomers now. Whatever.
Yeah, incidentally, there was another white supremacist, white power crew called Red Ice. They're a media outlet for neo-Nazis, and they apparently moved to Idaho too. One of the more prominent guys from that crew pretty much stayed at the band shell and videotaped all the performances and put it all on his Telegram account. And it actually made us look good. We looked like we were having a good time. Looked like the drag queens were having a good time. Looked like the people that were participating in the event were having a good time. And it really didn't pretty much sold us. Incidentally, I should point out that the guy with the blonde hair and the sunglasses and the maroon flight jacket, his name is Chadwick Hegger, Hegger, I believe his last name is.
Yes, of
Old
course.
goth kid, some goth kid who got radicalized a couple of years ago, and now he's messing around passing out flyers that used to have Vanguard America's name on it. They took that off. Vanguard America was the group that was in Charlottesville that spawned Patriot Front. When Thomas Rousseau was in Charlottesville, he was representing Vanguard America. After Charlottesville, he pretty much took the website and everything and reconfigured it to what is now known as Patriot Front.
Now, Thomas
And
Rufo, one of the guys arrested in Idaho, right? Or he was one of the Patriot Front members that got handcuffed. Long hair.
Yeah, he's the only one that you never see with a mask on, and that's comical because now every one of them that was in that van now no longer need to wear a mask, and it was so funny because while they did get arrested for misdemeanors, one of those guys we found out was actually out on bail in Texas on a felony charge. He had no business in Idaho. So his name is Stephen Derek Tucker. And why was he in jail? Is he facing charges?
Tell us,
threatened his roommate. He threatened his roommate with a knife, who he is supposed to have a dating relationship with.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to mention the person's name, but that person's name is a Spanish name.
Oh, yeah.
A Spanish male name.
Oh, he's into Latin dudes, and he's a white supremacist. Gotta love it. Listen, it's so much of this.
And what was he doing in Idaho? Trying to disrupt a pride parade. So this is the kind of dysfunction that we're dealing with. If it does turn out that his partner was in fact a female and in fact Hispanic, there's a lot of hypocrisy going on, but most importantly, a lot of dysfunction. And
these are large points.
Yeah. Exactly.
They want to dress up and play cool, but like they wear masks or they're afraid to let people know who they are. Some of them, there's no doubt in my mind that a good portion of them are closeted gay, that they are attracted to women of color if they're not gay, but that's who these people are. We're not looking at the best and the brightest of the human race. We're looking at the most ignorant, mouth-breathing elements of our society, and this is how it manifests. Self-loathing, self-hate. Like they hate who they are. So they want to hate everyone else.
That's true. I wanted to talk.
Sprinkle in anti-Semitism.
I guess I wanted to ask a little bit, and I think what really disturbs me, and over the last couple of months, as I've seen this online and this narrative against the LGBTQIA, we all have people in our life who are gay, who are transgendered, who are not a cis, white dude. I mean, most people aren't cis white dudes, and I guess hearing this narrative kind of start to escalate over the last couple months has got me genuinely fearing for lives of people whom I love. And when I hear this going on out there, I know that, and you see this one white supremacist whose mom has thrown him out of the house, wants to disown him. Yep. It's like had it up to here with him, and I can't blame that woman for doing what she needs to do to protect her own safety in her own home. That's fine, but what I think I've always stressed is that dealing with this kind of attitude is something you have to have a connection with somebody to do. And Daryl, you've coached people out of, these extreme beliefs before, and you have to get close to people. If you're already close to somebody who's believing this nonsense, I mean, it really is on you to use your personal relationship with that person to try to influence them. We do our thing in public. You're going to show up in public in a U-Haul. If you're going to show up in public in a U-Haul and try to disrupt an event, you're going to get arrested, and that's great and that kind of stuff. But that's not going to teach. Prison system, the justice system doesn't teach people anti-racism. That's up to us. And man, they're going to start killing people. They're going to start killing gay people. They're going to start killing trans people over nothing, over a fucking ridiculous lie, a conspiracy theory. Your priest, your straight, unmarried, holier than thou priest is far more likely to be a pedophile than an openly gay or an openly transgendered person. And that's provable. So I just hope that people take this threat seriously, because I'm worried about it. And it keeps me up at night.
Well, here's the thing, is really interesting too. When I landed in Spokane, because Spokane is only maybe about 30 minutes away from Coeur d'Alene, I was picked up by a guy who I helped transition. I helped turn over a new leaf and all. And we spent the time, I mean, he was really violent back in his day. I mean, I knew him when he was a Nazi. He was completely nasty. About a decade or so ago, about 17, 16 years ago, he firebombed the Jewish synagogue. He firebombed the synagogue, and he went to jail for a good decade or so. And while he was in jail, that's when he started changing, and we started corresponding via letters and things like that. And he's a good dude. He's a good dude. And we went around Spokane. It was raining, but we went around Spokane looking at all the places he used to sleep at, if you can catch my drift. He didn't just, he ran away from home. He was one of those kids. He was always catching all kinds of hell. And
upon by white supremacists.
He was pointing out the place he used to sleep. Yeah.
So again, they talk about,
and like I said, he was really.
They talk about grooming, but they seek these kids out, kids with emotional issues, kids with social issues, you know, loners. Like, that's grooming. They go after these kids, turn them into monsters, and like that's the actual grooming. But again, it's always projection, it's always misdirection with these types. I mean, it's they specifically want to go after young men.
And I would tell you also, before we go on to the next thing too, because I think everybody was on edge until after the event was over. We just knew that there was going to be some sort of violence that was going to happen. We thought that people were going to get hurt. We thought it was going to be Charlottesville 2.0. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think that's exactly, I mean, even though Patriot Front is not known for their violence or whatever, they're not known for engaging as Patriot Front, you're talking about a group that is literally a front for some more violent organizations out there. And when you think about the fact that there were some folks in the park who allied themselves with the Patriot Front types, who were armed, who were ready to start swinging on anybody at every given moment. Everybody was just eyeing these folks that were carrying their the biggest AR-15s that they can carry. Don't worry, we were carrying too, or at least they were. I couldn't. But the thing is, what I think, what my hypothesis is, my theory is, Patriot Front was going to jump out of that truck, throw that smoke bomb, go come out of the smoke, acting like that they're the big conquering heroes, and people were going to heckle them. People were going to start shouting at them. People were going to start throwing things at them, and that, in the name of self-defense, will have been the cue of all those folks that were on the ground. Because Patriot Front has a rule: when they're doing actions, they can't have weapons. But that doesn't mean that their supporters can't have weapons on the ground as they march on through. And if they saw somebody trying to confront Patriot Front as they march, they could have started shooting. I think that that's what they were trying to provoke. Luckily, that didn't happen, because they got nailed before. They said that they some concerned citizen had called it in, saying that they were jumping into a van at a motel someplace, and once that U-Haul truck came in, they just pulled it over. Patriot Front actually had video from not just the inside of the van, but inside the prison. For some strange reason, they were allowed to keep the camera. I don't know why. But that's what was going on. I mean, I think that there would have been something nasty if Patriot Front didn't get snagged at the end, because it was at the end of the event. I mean, that was the way we ended it.
The fallout. Let me ask you a little bit now, and we're a little bit over time, but that's all right, because this is important stuff. As far as what happens now, there's not many serious charges pending. I guess they've got some kind of like intention to incite a riot charge or something like that going on. But let's just say we do see more charges come out. They get more serious. Guys are looking at serious jail time for this action. What kind of effect does that have? How big is Patriot Front? How much of that kind of police attention really can this group take before we start to see them dissipate? I know they may form up into other things down the road, but how strong is the group, and how much can they really withstand? You know, seeing all their members.
They don't have a lot of people around the country. I mean, that's why there was only 31 of them in that van. But But I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't see anything really big happening to them. I mean, they got popped, they got bailed out the next day. Um, with the exception of Steven Trucker, who might be looking at a bail violation or something like that. Um, and I don't really see anything happening to them in the courts all that much. They got an arraignment on August 1st, and they're going to all come back, and they're going to do their whatever pleas or whatever it is they're going to do, and they're going to drag it on through, and they're going to move on with their lives and do yet another event. That's the thing. That's what we're just going to have to look forward to. They're probably going to catch a little bit more hell because one of the things that's also we should bear in mind is that Patriot Front, even before all of this, was doxxed to death because there was a leak. And we got a bunch of information thanks to Unicorn Riot, who put it all out there. And we was able to put the names with the faces, even their fake names with their real names. So Patriot Front, as this organization, is really not the concern. But like I said, they're literally a front for other groups. They can be, it could be the base, it could be Adam Waffen, if those two groups exist. It could be a totally different thing, you know. And that's what we have to look out for. Remember, Buffalo happened with somebody who there is no connection to any of these groups. So all they could be doing is planting seeds for some lone wolf idiot to go out and do something stupid. And that's what we got to look out for. That's what we got to protect ourselves from. And bear in mind this, we was able to basically hold the line in Idaho. There were a couple of places around the country where Proud Boys and other groups were confrontational with some of these pride events that were happening that same day. So I think one of the things that we're really going to have to start telling people was, hey, look, if you know things are going to be hot, be prepared. That's it. I mean, if you can carry, but protect yourself, protect your organization, protect your event, and most importantly, protect the people that are attending that event. Because these idiots keep talking about how they should line everybody up and shoot them. You know, these are people who are like swinging on folks simply because they're in drag. You know, that's not supposed to be happening, and we're not supposed to be sitting up there and take it. Okay, so just protect yourself in the next couple of weeks to the next couple of months, because also remember, this isn't the only thing that they're going after. They're going after Black people because of CRT. They're going after women because they want to protect their right to choose. You know, these are the things that they're really rallying around, really threatening violence against. Of course, we're going to talk about January 6th, and they're still pissed off about that, you know. Yeah. So, and that's all I got to say on it.
Yeah, that's a good segue into January 6th, because I have been obsessed with the hearings. I've watched or heard every minute of it. I've watched every piece of coverage I can find. I've listened to all the, I guess what you might call the mainstream media angles. A lot of blame, at least as far as we're concerned and what we focus on in Idavox work. The Proud Boys. The Proud Boys seem to have played a pretty significant role in planning out and breaching this Capitol. I haven't seen any like this guy had this map and went through this window, like very specific details. But there's a documentarian who's testified before the committee that was embedded with the Proud Boys and said they kind of broke off the march early. That they were scouting they were scouting out the Capitol in the days before, and kind of helped lead this into what it ultimately became. What do you know, Daryl? I guess I wanted to ask you about the Proud Boys, and what do you know about their involvement leading up to and including the day of January 6th?
Well, what's interesting is that the Proud Boys definitely made this clear even before January 6th, that they were going to be a part of this, and they was going to play by to the beat of their own drum. I mean, they showed that on November 14th of 2021. They showed that on December 12th of 2021 when they was going around stabbing people. And December 12th, they got stabbed back. They lit up that banner on from the Black churches, you know. So we knew that they was up to something, so much so that their regular hotel closed down for that day because they knew that they were going to try to patronize it, and they didn't want them to, you know. And it showed itself to be what it is. Now, I will tell you that there are people who was in Idaho that have yet to be arrested that were with the Proud Boys. So those folks are out there doing their whole free the boys routine and trying to basically make money off of it. But the truth of the matter is, we are looking at a terrorist organization that's showing themselves to be a terrorist organization with January 6th. And I made the point. I was actually on MSNBC just before I went out to Coeur d'Alene that morning. And I told them, look, if they're being seen this way, then we have to basically start recognizing that their supporters are just as dangerous. And I mean, really, that's what January 6th amounts to. Incidentally, what I had said on MSNBC was that Gavin McInnes, the founder of the Proud Boys, a Canadian national, needs to be deported.
Yeah.
He has no business in this country. Yeah. He has no damn business in this country.
So I'm watching these hearings, right? And I'm watching a very different kind of congressional hearing. You know, you can look back, I was young, but I know what happened during the Watergate hearings. There's kind of like this momentum that built. I remember a lot of different hearings. I remember Clarence Thomas's hearings when he was getting appointed to the Supreme Court. I remember a lot of different congressional hearings kind of being a big deal in my lifetime. But it's always been live. It's always been in full kind of, you're watching the person take the stand and get sworn in. This is a very produced segments of hearings, and it's put together to make a point. It's trying to, I think I give them credit as much as I distrust the United States government and our system of justice. I think a lot of the people on the committee are trying to get at the truth, but they're trying to convince people that aren't going to be convinced. And I think that's the real heart of the matter here. Maybe if you're on the fence, if you don't know, if you have been living on Mars for last years and you don't have an opinion, sure, you would be convinced that Donald Trump tried to overthrow the United States government that day. That's what he did. It's obvious. I didn't need a hearing to teach me that. I saw it with my own two eyeballs as it was happening.
They're not watching. The right wing is watching it.
They are not paying attention to anything that conflicts with their currently held beliefs. They don't give a shit that this guy, they love America. This guy tried to overthrow their government. They can't put those two things together. Their brains are fucked up. And I think that's the problem with these hearings.
Look, I like I was having this conversation with my wife yesterday. The anti-Pence GOP is the dumbest element of the dumbest political party, right? Because Mike Pence, Bill Barr, all these people pointing the finger at Trump, they're thick as thieves with Trump. They were okay with him being a crooked president. They're okay with him being a racist president. They're okay with everything he did except for lying about the election, right? Mike Pence is a conservative icon. So if you really think that Mike Pence is all of a sudden some kind of magical traitor to your cause because he didn't want to follow Trump, I mean, that is a break from reality, right? These are people that will not be convinced by a congressional committee that they already don't trust. They don't like Liz Cheney anymore, right? Like, and you can see it in the interviews. Ted Cruz and all these other Republicans, they're calling it a show trial. You see it on Fox News and right-wing media. They're playing it down. They're blowing it off. And like, I don't know what the reaction's going to be after this, because I don't think anybody new is convinced. Like, everybody knew who Trump is. Everybody knows at this point. So, I mean, my wife brought up a good point yesterday also. We're still wasting resources on Donald Trump as a country. We're still wasting millions and millions of dollars every day on Donald Trump. And I don't know what's going to happen afterwards, because is he going to be kept from being able to run from office? Because Trumpers are still running for office. He raised $250 million for his defense fund that never existed, which is automatically being funded to MAGA front groups. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to come out of all of this. I mean, it's a good thing. It needs to happen, but I don't think we're going to get out of this what Democratic leadership always seems to think we're going to get out of it. I mean, again, we're dealing with the Democrats here.
Yeah, and I think that's really the most frustrating thing about this. It's not so much that we can't do it, it's that we won't, or rather, it doesn't look like that we don't have enough confidence that the Democrats will do anything. And that is scary. Who are we putting in office if we talk about in passing about the end of democracy? If we're talking about and we're just showing just how many laws are being broken, and we do not even have the confidence that our leaders will convict.
Yeah, I mean, look
that
at
is an unstable country.
Yeah, I mean, there were reports coming out about within the past month of Senator Dianne Feinstein losing her mind. Like, she's suffering from dementia. Her aides are talking about it. Other lawmakers are talking about it. This woman is losing her mind. She's unfit to be in office, but we have a Democratic elite that is just gaslighting people about that. Right? Like we can't even not the Democrats are on our side, but the people that are supposed to stand up to the fascists are already gaslighting the country on their own with their own lies, right? So I mean, it's terrifying. Like I'm scared of this country.
The description that best describes the Democratic Party over the last 20 or so years is style over substance. They say one thing and they do another, and how they still get credit for, like wanting to reform the justice system or, wanting to actually fight for economic justice is beyond me. You have a political party which is completely funded and supported by corporate America, pretending to be about proletarian issues, and they get away with it. And when we look to, okay, what's going to happen from this? I mean, you're not going to convince Trump supporters that they've been wrong. To do that, they'd have to admit that they got grifted. And that's psychologically, that's very hard to admit. Listen, I'm a guy, that's experienced some trauma because of my political affiliations and had to rethink the way I thought about politics. It was an extraordinary, psychologically challenging thing for me to face reality about my own political beliefs and admit that I was wrong and admit that I shouldn't have been involved with the Green Party. Not that I'm going to mention who it was. But, to go back and admit that for 4 years, I spent a lot, 80% of my mental and physical energy supporting something that turned out to be wrong was something that took me probably about 2 years to do. And so, there's that. But to get to a point of where we hold them accountable, like where we might throw this lawyer Eastman or maybe even Donald Trump in court and try to prosecute him for these crimes, you need the Justice Department to act. You need Merrick Garland and these people, who are political appointees and stuff to do something that's maybe politically risky, politically challenging, and might not work. What if they get acquitted? And that's their mindset. And that's why I still don't believe that you're going to see any significant charges taken against Donald Trump or his immediate family. They may throw Eastman in jail. They may throw some of the, Giuliani's already lost his lawyer's license. Every lawyer that was involved has gotten disbarred at this point. That's pretty funny. But when it comes to taking on a former president and trying to throw him in prison, I would be very amazed if the intestinal fortitude exists within the Democratic Party to take on that challenge. But that is, in fact, what Germany didn't do to Hitler when they had a chance. It's the same fucking thing. They had a chance to crush the guy.
Oh, better
and
yet,
the Weimar Republic said, fuck it, we're not going to mess with this dude. It's too much trouble. We'll let him do his little thing while we run the government. And it turned out as it did. I think you see the same thing with the Democratic Party.
And
at some point, people are going to wake up to Trump's bullshit. They're not.
See, this is the important thing to remember. I'm glad you brought up the Weimar Republic, because the Weimar Republic is being used by the centrists, by the elite Democrats, to go after progressives on, because they said if we didn't support the Weimar Republic back in the day, and that's how we got Hitler. And the same rule applies here. Well, you assholes are basically throwing us to the wolves because you want to try to maintain a mainstream. We want to try to maintain the status quo that's crumbling around you.
Yeah,
that's what the Weimar Republic will happen. That's what happened there. Weimar Republic was trying to maintain something that no one else wanted to maintain.
No,
And
there was no
because
history of democracy in Germany. There was no history of like free speech. They weren't ready for it, right? Like Germany, like it's like Iraq. These people had no like their history of democracy isn't like, well, not that the United States is the paragon of democracy, but like Germany had no history of democracy. They had had an entire history of kings and emperors and authoritarians, and then all of a sudden they're thrust democracy. They weren't ready for it. They weren't ready for it.
no. And I think that the whole thing about when people say those who forget history are doomed to repeat it, I always try to make sure that people know that those who remember history are blessed not to. So we already know the lessons of the Weimar Republic. And thanks to some elitist Democrats, they're reminding us. So we know not to make that mistake again. We got to fight harder. We got to fight harder because in truth, when it comes to fighting conservatism and right-wing politics, it's really within the Democratic Party that we have to engage in that fight. I mean, there are I think a lot of reasons why they get over is because they actually are governing. And the reason why they are governing is because they do have good people in the Democratic Party. Those same people would not be Democrats in any other political structure. They would have been a little bit more left of center party, you know? And but because there's such a stranglehold, the two major parties have such a stranglehold on the political process that they feel they have no choice. And that's the only thing that's saving the Weimar Democrats, you know? And
I mean, look at what they're doing with Mike Pence. They're trying to turn Mike Pence into a hero.
We got to just basically make it clear at some point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, hell, take a look at the whole thing with Liz Cheney. I mean, somebody, I think it was Robert Reich, that was comparing her to Paul Wellstone.
Oh, they've got her up on a peg. She's Lenin. She's leading the revolution.
She should be
into
president.
The promised land, man. I'm telling you, they
Democrats
got
love supporting Republicans. Democrats, like, pathologically, it's pathological. Like this obsession with like compromise, right? And it's like, again, like you want to put Mike Pence on a pedestal. Let's say in this alternate world, Trump goes away and then Mike Pence becomes president of the United States. What do you think he's going to do with the Democrats? You think he's going to turn around and say, well, they supported me? No, he's going to move forward with a right-wing agenda. He's going to move forward with the same agenda that Trump had. Democrats cannot help themselves. Like, look at how they're trying to reform George W. Bush, right? Michelle Obama hugging up on George W. Bush. It's like these people, it's this obsession with like this I don't know, this obsession with like rose-colored glasses, this obsession with trying to promote an America that doesn't exist. I mean, they're not as bad as the Republicans, but it's the same thing.
Wait till Kissinger dies. If Kissinger dies.
Oh, I've been waiting forever. It happened already.
If he was able to die, he would have died. He would have died.
Yeah,
he would have died. But from what I understand, he's actually an energy vampire and he sucks living energy from people around him, and that's how he stays alive.
He's Colin from.
I actually ran into that guy in Penn Station in New York.
God, creep. Like, talk about somebody that belongs behind bars. I would love to like ship him in a crate to Vietnam and let him sit in a Vietnamese prison for however long he's got left in his life.
I do think
January. But all the things we're saying about him now, there's going to be all kinds of tributes coming from various Democratic circles that are going to be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We respected him and blah blah blah.
And we're gonna tear into anybody that does that. They may as well. You know what? Let's just do a preemptive strike right now. Don't do it. If Kissinger dies, I gotta say if Kissinger dies, do not pay tribute. Do not say anything positive about the dude. You will be ostracized. I assure you.
They will.
You will be ripped apart on Twitter. I promise. If Twitter,
I can see it now. He was a great statesman. You know, he engineered the Sino-Soviet split. Shut up. We already know what it's going to be.
Well,
I
with
mean,
the January 6th stuff, I want, I guess, because we got to talk about your music video before we go, man. Because Daryl's in a music video,
we have
but
now gone
I
from
will. I
January 6th
mean,
to Kissinger.
yeah, I did want to, I guess, one last thing for me on January 6th, and Chris, mentioned that your wife was saying like we put all this energy and this money into Trump, and I agree. It's frustrating and it's exhausting and it's too much time and energy spent on this guy. But history matters. History is important. How history is remembered is particularly important. We're living in this moment now, and we're, I brought up the fact that we're not convincing Trump supporters, but down the road, people are going to be looking at this as I think it's comparable to Watergate. It's comparable to other political scandals, and I think it's important that the historical record be correct. I think that the hearings have provided a level of detail that we wouldn't have known had they not been heard. I agree that it's a show. I agree that the substance is left me in doubt whether anything significant is actually going to come of it. I don't know. But I do think it's setting a historical record that's correct and factual. And we can draw on that, and our kids can draw on that, and hopefully generations can draw on it and
I mean,
learn the
we're still
lessons. I mean, we're making
the war was so. I mean,
but I think that's important. So I encourage people to watch it. I've been telling people that they should pay attention because this guy's going to be running for president in a couple of years. And if he gets back in office, he's already said he'll probably pardon everybody that was involved. So you'll see every Proud Boy out of jail. You'll see everybody in that van arrested out of jail.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a problem.
Well, that wasn't a federal arrest. That wasn't a federal arrest. That was Idaho, and those idiots might pardon them anyway. But so one last thing before we get going, I want to just let y'all know that I have made my first cameo appearance in a music video. Actually, there's two things that are going on. One, there's a group called Potbelly, a punk band called Potbelly that's going to be that actually has some spoken word that I did for them in a couple of months ago that they're going to incorporate in one of their songs or on their latest album. I'll keep you posted on that. Band called Battalion Zoska has a voice clip of me talking about the Proud Boys. So you can check that, check their latest thing out. But this is my first music video. My first music video cameo as a famous person.
I'm extremely jealous.
Actually, my first.
Very jealous.
This is, oh man, I had fun doing it too because they had me decked out like a Black Panther and everything. But it's real good. But it's a real good video. And let me tell you a little something about the band. Now, a lot of y'all probably familiar with a band out of New York called Reconstruction. And Reconstruction was fronted by a brother named Not For Profit. Not For Profit has had a couple of projects since Reconstruction, Ex Vandals, and the like. But this is his latest one. It's called Abrazos Army. Abrazos is Spanish for hugs. and basically it's kind of like a salsa punk.
Yeah,
heavy
that's
on the
how I would
salsa.
describe it. It was definitely punk, and it was salsa, but it wasn't salsa and it wasn't punk. It was like both, but neither. I was digging like the congas. I was like, oh, this is like really heavy Latin. I was like, okay, all right.
Is it punksa?
And
like salsa
and very
punk.
political too.
Punk.
Spunk.
It's definitely
the team up you didn't know you wanted. It's the most ambitious team up of our era, punk and salsa.
It is definitely something unique. It's something that draws your attention to its uniqueness, man. It's a cool vibe. I dig it a lot.
But it's good music. They got a couple of videos. Just go to Abrazos Army. It's Abrazos Army. And you can find their website, abrazosarmy.com. You can find them on YouTube. But the video that I'm in is something called Bronx is Burning. And we shot a little bit of it in the Bronx, or at least my part of it in the Bronx. Well, the band is based out of the Bronx. And a couple of weeks ago, I went to their premiere. their premiere event over at the over at a cultural center that they have over in the Bronx, and I'm going to show you exactly what that looked like.
What's up, y'all? DLJ here. I'm here at the Bronx Music Heritage Center. Brazos Army is going to be debuting their new music video for Bronx is Burning. I'm in the video, so I needed to come out here and just check out what's going on, and you're going to check it out with me. So let's do this.
Bronx burning in the summer heat, high learning on every ghetto street, motion blue is going up smoke, deja vu, uptown is getting woke.
The video features Brazos Army, which is a band from the barrio, from the barrios, all the barrios. And it was shot by Omar Villegas, who's over there.
You know, this song isn't about him, you know, it's about a movement, it's about a people, you know, it's about history, it's about the present, you know, I think we live in a very self-centered society these days, you know, it's just like the same old bubblegum bullshit all the time, you know, so hopefully, like you said, it'll make you think of something else, you know, broaden your mind a little bit more.
So where'd you get to church?
Why did we go to church?
No, where was what church was
That's the People's Church on 111th Street and Lexington Avenue in East Arlington, Barrio. It was a church that the Young Lords took over back in the early 70s. And yeah, so we shot there.
So the guy that was kidnapped, what does he represent? And what's the symbolism behind that?
Well, first, his character is the principal, or, you know, the guy who runs. He represents you know, history, the white man's part in it. And, you know, that's why he's, you know, involved in the school. You know, we thought it'd be a good idea to throw some images on him to, like, you know, a la, you know, Kubrick style, and, you know.
As a side note, the actor Paul Nakai, how do you pronounce it? Nakai Zach, right? In actuality, in real life, he's a left-leaning activist from way back. So he was down. He was like, you know, why can't you guys hit me in the face with the cameras? So yeah, I don't know if you guys caught it, but when we're marching him out of the church, the person who's actually holding him is actually a former Black Panther and a former member of the Black Liberation Army in real life.
And solely in a chain, Elijah called the fire from heaven, the torches at 7-Eleven, the dynamite and mighty night.
It's really just about at least expanding people's minds, because like you said, you know, 9 out of 10 times, what you are going to see and hear is going to be something brought to you with that very same system that was designed to oppress you.
Yeah.
So at least
same algorithm.
You know, wants you to do something.
Yeah, so the hope is that, if anything, we're wanting you to do something else.
Fort Apache, the Bronx. The fuse has been lit.
So that was my experience. What did you think of that lovely clip? Nah, just kidding.
It was good. I like the intro with the every Puerto Rican knows "Qué bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera, la bandera puertorriqueña." That's an old song sung by many people, and they're basically saying how beautiful is the flag, how beautiful is the flag of Puerto Rico. And it's every Puerto Rican knows it. It is almost like a national anthem. So when it caught me in the feels starting off with that. I'm like, ooh. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
Oh, yes. He's known. Well, I've been working with him for years now. And I'm from Reconstruction on. And this song is just powerful. Mm-hmm. So we're going to end with this. We're going to end this this broadcast with that video.
But before we do that.
What was that, Bri?
But before we do that, we have to ask for money. We have to ask for money, and Daryl and me, myself, and Christian, we don't like asking for money, and that's why we almost forgot. But Daryl taught. You know, Daryl went out to Idaho. He was able to provide insight. He was able to get some clips and footage and educate people I watched some of your live streaming, so I saw that interview with the one douchebag, a couple of days ago. But look, it cost him gas money. He had to rent a car. He needs a place to sleep.
Plane tickets.
Plane tickets. We can do with what y'all help us out with. I mean, if you give us $5, we're going to take that $5 and turn it into a piece of content. We're going to get Daryl out to support a live event. If you give us $20, if you give us $30, that's what it goes to. So, this report is called the Idavox report. I'm a part of Idavox. Chris, Daryl, of course, founded it, but you too are a part of Idavox, and you can be a part just by helping them out with a tank of gas, just by becoming a regular subscriber. So go to onepeoplesproject.com, go to idavox.com. If you'd like to join Revolution Radio's editorial board, you can go to revolutionradio.com. But if you help support this show financially, then it's going to get better. It's going to get more intense, and we're going to be able to cover more events. I know Daryl doesn't want to be the only guy out there working on anti-fascist work. This is a team sport, and one of the biggest members of our team are financial supporters. So please, idavox.com, onepeoplesproject.com, onepeoplesproject.com. Tax deductible donations. It's a nonprofit organization. Go there right now while you watch this awesome music video and give us a few bucks so we can keep producing these wonderful podcasts. There we go.
Now I should also point out before we go to that video, I just want to say that first of all, I want to thank everybody for watching us today. I'm glad to be back. Glad to see Brian and Christian once again, and there's going to be more people. We're going to have guest hosts coming up, and we're going to have a time of it. So I don't know what we're going to do next week, or probably going to be back in about 2 weeks. I don't know. I don't know when we're coming back. When we're coming back.
I think 2 weeks. I think we're going to try to do 2 shows a month for the foreseeable future. And it really, it really depends on the contributions rolling in, how many we can produce.
We don't have corporate funding, right? We don't have Trump's $250 million off funding us. We don't have
none of that's happening.
No shady donors. This is all fan funded. This is crowdsourced. This is the people. This is a people's funded project.
Yes, indeedy. And what a project it is. I mean, there's a reason why we called the organization One People's Project, because only as one people can we get these things done, and this is living proof of that. So again, thank you all for watching, and thank you all for listening if you're listening to it. But it's time to go. I'm so glad we had this time together. And I want to leave y'all with Bronx is Burning by Brazos Army. Y'all take care until the next time. Peace.
Defendiendo siempre nuestra bandera puertorriqueña. Qué bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera, qué bonita bandera, la bandera puertorriqueña.
We make no distinction between the jails and our streets. Our people are killed in the streets all the time. A brother by the name of Johnny is killed in the Bronx by the police. A sister by the name of Carmen Rodriguez at Lincoln Hospital by an abortion. We say that it's all the same thing, that it's genocide against third world people, black and Puerto Rican people, and that's why we're charging the city with murder.
Julio, Roldán, los boricuas se vengarán. Julio, Roldán, los boricuas se vengarán. Despierta, boricua, defiende lo tuyo. Despierta, boricua, defiende lo tuyo. Despierta, boricua, defiende lo tuyo.
Uno, dos, 1, 2, 3, 4. Once burning in the summer heat, high learning on every ghetto street. Motion Lou is going up smoke. Deja vu, uptown is getting woke. Strike a match and pass the gasoline. Break scratch, ain't always drum machine. For them roads, raising in the sun. Lock and load, the party's just begun. message through the wire. Gonna set this game on fire. See the flames is getting higher. Punks burning, syrup smoother. Tables turning, back to a Latin beat. Getting lit on the boulevard. It is writ on memory's burden charter. Light fuse or toss the Molotov. Pay your dues or face the fire mamba. Fireworks, ashtray on Pelham Bay. DJ Herc and love will light the way. Send the message through the wire. Don't set this game on fire. See the flames that's getting higher, higher, higher. Los yanquis quieren fuego. Todo murió ciego. La lucha no es juego. La revolución llegó. Word, a sense to kill a mockingbird. As children building an wall, preparing for the rise and falling riders hide inside the flames of the city. Hunger games with firefights on Morris Heights. They roam the days, we own the nights. A crew on Sedgwick Avenue for Anthony and Amadou. Ain't no peace for the police force, so people see the grand concourse. The stone show we could turn apart from unto the dark and light the spark and feel as the city burns. The hunt's point of no return. The phoenix rises from the fire with matches and a burning time. I need my soda in the flame and soul linked in a human chain. Elijah called the fire from heaven. The torches at 7-Eleven. The dynamite, the mighty night becomes the sun's eternal light. Can you smell it wafting through the air? No holy hell will stand a prayer. Oh, Puerto Rico, Palestine, with kerosene and holy wine. God gave no other radio sign. Said no more water fight next time. Said no more water fight next time. Said no more water fight next time.
Fort Apache, the Bronx. The fuse has been lit.